Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel, Attorney E Immigration Lawyer. Today's episode po, very special because we're celebrating International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day po sa inyong lahat, sa ating mga ina, mga kapatid, to our sisters, cousins, and friends. I hope you're enjoying your day. March 8, 2021 po. Today's episode, very special to me. Pag-usapan natin ang immigration reliefs for women under U.S. immigration law. Violence Against Women Act provides protections for non-citizen women and victims of crime. So we're going to talk about VAWA. Before we proceed, I want to introduce myself. My name is Attorney Elaine Antonio Bordeaux, and I'm a U.S. immigration lawyer and a certified human rights educator. I've been practicing U.S. immigration law for more than 10 years, and I represent clients from all over the U.S. and outside of the U.S. on their U.S. immigration matters. Okay, so today pag-usapan natin, I'm going to discuss itong mga visas created under VAWA. Ang U visa, T visa, VAWA, ang battered spouse waiver, at ang depensa sa deportation ng under the VAWA, under the Violence Against Women Act para po sa mga victims ng domestic abuse. Okay, so we're gonna go over this fact sheet provided by the American Immigration Council. With approximately 23 million immigrant women and girls in the US, over half of the foreign-born population is female. Unfortunately, women are particularly vulnerable to sexual violence. Marami pong issues na kinakaharap ang mga kababaihan. Domestic violence, human trafficking, exploitation in the workplace. Yan po yung mga unique challenges na hinaharap nating mga kababaihan. And pag-usapan natin ang protection. Dito po sa Amerika, kumpara po sa ibang bansa, ay mas maayos ang ating batas. Hindi ito perpekto, pero meron tayong mga reliefs and protection na sinusunod. Kung ikumpara po natin sa batas, sa ibang bansa. But we still have to work together para po mas magkaroon tayo ng protection and mas ma-implement po itong mga karapatan at reliefs para sa mga kababaihan. Para naman sa mga workplaces, how does immigration status impact exploitation in the workplace? So itong workplace exploitation, sabi dito sa study, domestic care workers, hotel workers, food service workers, agricultural workers, and janitorial staff experience high rates of sexual harassment and assault because they tend to work for tips in isolated environment. A 2015 study of working immigrant women found that nearly half of them were employed in these industries. Non-citizen women in this and other industries may fear their employers will revoke their work visa or report them to immigration if they report sexual assault. So yung pang nagiging sitwasyon ng mga kababaihan na mga non-citizens, natatakot mag-report kung nasasubject sila sa sexual harassment because natatakot sila unang-una mawala ng work visa. Hawak ng employer nila yung visa nila. So natatakot mawala ng work visa, natatakot mapauwi, kasi kung uuwi sa bansa nila, wala namang hanap buhay. Natatakot din mag-report sa ICE, baka hindi paniwalaan at sila pa ang ma-deport. Some non-citizen women are brought to the US through human trafficking networks and are forced to work under surveillance. Ito yung mga victims ng human trafficking. Ang human trafficking, dalawang category niyan. For sexual trafficking or sexual exploitation and labor trafficking. Minsan, kapag pinag-uusapan ng human trafficking, ay mas familiar po ang mga tao sa sexual trafficking or sex trafficking. pero napakarami ring cases ng labor trafficking. And itong mga victims ay nagiging dinadala sila from outside of the US, brought to the United States. May mga network ng traffickers, and they were forced to work under surveillance. Kina-confiscate ang kanilang mga passports, tinethreat ng deportation kung magre-report, and minamanipulate na sila because under the control na sila ng kanilang mga traffickers. So yung iba talagang walang chance para makalabas or makahingi ng tulong. And kung meron namang pagkakataon, takot din because hindi rin nila alam ang kanilang gagawin at hindi rin nila alam kung sino ang hihinga nila ng tulong. In addition, marami rin po mga kababaihan na nagiging victims ng kanilang mga abusive spouses. Lalo na yung mga na-sponsor bilang fiancé at pinakasalan. Maraming mga kaso ng abuses dahil kontrolado sila nitong kanilang mga US citizen or lawful permanent LPR spouses pa kung tawagin namin, ay andyan tinitreaten ng deportation. Yung iba financially abuse naman at maraming kababaihan na nagiging victim ng sexual abuse. So yan ang mga issues na kinakaharap ng mga kababaihan dito sa US. Kaya po nagkaroon ng mga batas to protect our non-citizen women. In the last 3 decades, Congress has made numerous changes to US immigration laws to offer protection to non-citizen victims of domestic violence and crime. So andyan po ang Immigration Reform Act of 1990, yung battered spouse waiver. Papaliwanag ko later on. Pero ang battered spouse waiver, para doon sa pamilyar kayo sa proseso ng pag-aasawa, yung mga pinakasalan ng US citizen or ng green card holders and then nakarating po sa US, ang unang green card na mabibigay sa inyo ay conditional for 2 years. So before the 2-year period expires, kailangan mong i-renew or mag-file jointly with your US citizen spouse. And kaya may ganung requirement because immigration wants to prevent marriage fraud, na hindi ka lang nagpakasal dahil gusto mo lang ng green card. So merong requirement na 2 years dapat mag-asawa kayo and then magpa-file ng another paperwork which is yung joint petition to remove condition para mapatunayan na magkasama pa rin kayo as husband or as spouses. Yun ang proseso. Because of that naman, marami rin naging victim ng abuse kasi itong US citizen spouse ay magte-threaten na hindi na niya gagawin yung joint filing or kung sinusuway nung foreign spouse niya, andyan iti-threaten na for deportation. Or yung mga cases ng financial abuse naman, itong foreign spouse ay i-burden ng katakot-takot na financial obligations. And then, kapag pumapalag na, ayan natin i-threaten na ng deportation. So, yung threat ng deportation, napaka-powerful niyan sa mga non-citizens. At isa siya, of course, na sign or isang, isang indication ng pang-aabuso. Kaya po may mga protection na ibinibigay. Yung battered spouse waiver, ang sabi doon, kung ikaw ay naging battered spouse, hindi mo na kailangang i-joint isama ang yung petitioner spouse sa pagpa-file ng petition to remove condition. Pwede kang mag-remove ng condition on your own by self-filing. Meron tayong isang episode dyan solely dedicated sa petition to remove condition. Pakihanap nyo na lang po dito sa channel natin. Okay, number 1, U-Visa. U-Visa was created by the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act of 2000 to protect certain non-citizen crime victims who assist or are willing to assist in the investigation or prosecution of a criminal offense. Bakit ba ito na-create, itong visa na to? Before this, and nangyayari pa rin ito ngayon, pero hindi na ganun kagrabe or talagang dahil walang relief talaga dati. Ang mga non-citizens, especially mga undocumented, ay nagiging target ng crimes. In fact, I was involved in one case before na yung community ay tina-target ng pagnanakaw, ng pinapasok sa bahay, and then may mga sexual assaults din na nangyayari. At walang nagre-report dahil ang mga victims ay undocumented. Okay. Ito namang mga perpetrators ay alam nila na itong mga to ay mga undocumented, kaya napakadali nilang i-target at napakadali nilang gawing victims. So yun ang tina-target nila because hindi nagre-report. With the U visa, kung ikaw ay maging victim, say ang isang babae o isang lalaki o kahit sinong maging victim ng non-citizen na maging victim ng seryosong krimen, katulad ng sexual assault, serious physical injuries, ay pwedeng magkaroon ng relief ng U visa or mag-grant ng U visa. Ito ay temporary relief na nagli-lead sa permanent resident. Ang condition nito ay dapat mag-cooperate with law enforcement agency. So you will need a law enforcement certification para maging successful ang yung U visa application. Without the law enforcement certification, ang U visa application will be denied. So importante iyon because ang purpose nito ultimately ay para sa peace or kapayapaan ng community at ma-prevent yung mga krimen. Yun ang ultimate purpose nito. Ito ay nagbibigay protection sa mga non-citizens na victims. At kino-cover niya, napakaraming crimes na kino-cover nito. Kaya medyo matagal ang processing time. I think right now it's taking about 5 years. But just because there's just so many applications. And I think under the Biden proposed immigration bill, ay gusto nilang paramihin ang visas, ang U visas na ini-issue para naman, of course, to give more protection to more people, more survivors, and of course, para mapabilis din ang proseso. There are only 10,000 U visas available every year. Okay, kung ang non-citizen ay undocumented or kung nag-fiancé or kung at hindi maka-avail ng VAWA, ang offender ay hindi US citizen, dito po papasok ang immigration relief. Kung ang offender mo ay ang yung US citizen spouse or ang yung green card petitioner spouse, then papasok ka sa VAWA. Okay? Now, who may qualify for U visa? Ito po yung nagsuffer ng substantial physical or mental abuse as a result of being a victim of certain criminal activity. Ito ang mga crimes covered ng U visa. Rape, torture, trafficking, incest, domestic violence, sexual assault, abusive sexual contact, prostitution, sexual exploitation, female genital mutilation, being held hostage, peonage, involuntary servitude, slave trade, kidnapping, abduction, unlawful criminal restraint, false imprisonment, blackmail, extortion, manslaughter, murder, felonious assault, witness tampering, obstruction of justice, perjury, or attempt, conspiracy, or solicitation to commit any of these crimes. Okay. All right. Ang U visa ay nagli-lead sa permanent sa green card. So after 3 years of continuous presence in the US, yung U visa holder is eligible for adjustment of status to permanent residence at pwede niya rin maging derivative ang kanyang spouse and children below 21, unmarried below 21 years old. Ang second visa natin po, humanitarian visa, IT visa. Para po ito sa mga naging victims ng sex trafficking and labor trafficking. Mayroon lamang pong 5,000 T-visas available every year. Mas konti ang nagpa-file ng T-visa versus U-visa kasi ang T-visa ay exclusive for human trafficking cases versus U-visa na kino-cover niya yung iba't ibang klase ng krimen. A T-visa protects recipients from removal, from deportation, and gives them permission to work in the U.S. Bona fide T-visa applicants also have access to the same benefits as refugees, including cash assistance, food assistance, and job training. Naglilid din ang T-visa to permanent residence after 3 years at po pwede rin po maging derivative ang spouse and children. Okay. Ang battered spouse waiver naman, as I explained earlier, para doon sa nagpa-file ng petition term of conditions. As I said, ang mga isang nagiging issue ito ng mga kababaihan na dinadala dito under pinipetisyon under a fiancé visa at pinapakasalan or hindi man pinapakasalan ng kanilang petitioner ay yung pang-abuso. Merong sexual abuse, domestic violence, financial abuse, pati yung mga emotional, mental abuse kasama po yan. So kung ang requirement is dapat bago mag-expire ang conditional residence ay kailangan mag-file ng another petition, yung joint petition term of conditions, kasama mo ang yung petitioner para makuha mo ang 10-year green card. Doon nagkakaroon ng mga abuses. Andiyan pinahihirapan yung asawa, tinatakot na i-report kung hindi ibibigay ito or ganyan. Maraming mga ganyang cases. Kaya kapag ang isang foreign spouse ay naging victim ng abuse ng kanilang petitioner, ay mayroon namang relief. You can still obtain your permanent residence in the U.S. Under the battered spouse waiver. Of course, you have to prove it. And may mga paraan para patunayan ito. So kung ikaw ay nasa ganitong situation, makipag-usap ka sa isang immigration lawyer at hindi mo kailangang magtiis. You know, it's very, very dangerous, especially yung cases ng domestic violence. Kapag sinaktan ka ng isang beses, I can almost assure you na hindi lang yan magiging isang beses. Okay? So there is help available for you. And kung immigration naman ang kinatatakot mo, ay may immigration relief for you under this provision. Okay? Alright. Meron din pong VAWA self-petition. Under VAWA, non-citizen victims of domestic violence, child abuse, or elder abuse. Kasama na yung elder abuse, ano, yung mga inaabuso ng kanilang mga anak, yung mga magulang na pinitisyon ng kanilang mga US citizen kids ng kanilang US citizen children, ay pwede rin pong mag-file ng VAWA self-petition. Ang tawag po dyan ay elder abuse. Pwede pong mag-self-petition for LPR status without the cooperation of abusive parent, spouse, or adult child. Victims may also self-petition if they are divorced, as long as the marriage and the abusive spouse was terminated within the 2 years of filing the petition, and there is a connection between the divorce and the domestic violence. Okay? So itong VAWA self-petition naman, magkaiba dun sa battered spouse waiver. Pareho silang reliefs. Yung VAWA self-petition ay wala pang naipetisyon na file. Pwede ka bang mag-self-petition sa sarili mo. Yung battered spouse waiver naman ay may petition na and then you're going for the joint petition term of condition. And kung ikaw ay battered spouse, ipapasok ka dito sa battered spouse waiver. An approved VAWA self-petition provides the applicant with work authorization, deferred action, meaning hindi magkakaroon ng enforcement para maipa-deport ka, and an approved non-citizen petition which allows him or her to apply for lawful permanent residence. Okay. There's no limit to the number of VAWA petitions that may be filed in any given year. So wala pang limit dyan. Alright, so ano ang requirements sa VAWA petition? Dapat ang marriage ay good faith. Good faith marriage if the abuser is a spouse or step-parent. And of course, yung relationship to the abuser. Meron din po tayong presentation on this, but this is one of the immigration reliefs for yung mga naging biktima ng pang-abuso ng kanilang petitioner or ng spouse, child, ng adult child. Finally, ang VAWA cancellation of removal. Ito naman yung mga nailagay na sa deportation process. Okay, marami akong mga sinasagot na emails tungkol sa deportation. May proseso po ang removal. Ang tawag po natin dyan ngayon ay removal, pero mas naiintindihan nila sa deportation. Okay, unless expedited, yung expedited yung mabilisan. Pangkaraniwan yung papasok pa lang sa port of entry, andyan na. Pero ang regular process ay yung haharap ka sa immigration court and magkakaroon ng due process. It's a civil proceeding, pero of course yung kapag hindi ka nabigyan ng relief or wala kang depensa ay you're gonna be removed from the United States kahit civil process siya. Sabi nila parang death penalty daw. Because yung may mga sinusuportahang pamilya. Yan. Okay. Isang relief ay yung cancellation of removal under VAWA para dun sa mga victims ng abusive US citizen or LPR, green card holder spouses or parents from being deported. Okay? So isa siyang relief na po pwede mong maging defense sa deportation process. It is a form of relief that non-citizen victim can seek in immigration court after being placed in removal. Okay? Yan po. Yan po ang ating immigration reliefs for women. VAWA, U-Visa, VAWA self-petition, battered spouse waiver. U-Visa para sa victim ng serious crimes. T-Visa para sa victims ng human trafficking, sex trafficking, and labor trafficking. And VAWA for cancellation of removal para dun sa mga nasa removal proceeding. Alright. Sana po ay may natutunan kayo. And if you know anybody in this situation, i-share niyo po ang ating presentation dahil ang intention lamang po natin dito ay makatulong, especially po dun sa ating mga kababaihan na nagiging victims ng abuses. Mayroon pong reliefs na available para sa inyo. There is help. And if you have any questions or anything about immigration, or about this topic, ay mag-email lamang po kayo, eb@eboardlaw.com. Like and subscribe po para dun sa hindi pa nakapag-subscribe. And thank you po for watching and spending your night with me. Maraming salamat po. Till next time, si Attorney E. Bye.